Hi, Tracy Hugelmeyer here with VintagepreneurUniversity.com, where I help vintage sellers start, grow, and scale their business on Etsy. I also own my own vintage business, Rustic Guy, that I've had on Etsy since 2013. And today I'm super excited to get started with a brand new edition of Friday Feedback, and I cannot wait to introduce you to Jeannette from Shop My Closet. But before I do, if you're curious about how you can get your own free review, there's only one catch, well actually two. You have to sell vintage on Etsy, and it does not matter how long you've been selling or what your level is. And number two, you have to be an Etsy junkie. And the way you become an Etsy junkie is by joining our free Facebook group or signing up for one of my free trainings. I'm going to link all that information for you in the notes below so you can check that out. Without further ado, let's go ahead and check out Jeannette's adorable shop. All right, so here we are in Shop My Closet, and I will link to her shop for you as well so you can check it out yourself. But what I just love right away is kind of her theme and her shop name and her tagline. I think it's just the cutest thing ever. Her tagline, Shop My Closet, where vintage, charm, and beauty meet. That's just so cute, and it goes so well with this adorable logo. Just so you know, when I'm doing my reviews, I try to focus on different things so that each review can offer different tips and things that are helpful for all sellers. So if you are curious in checking out my other reviews, there's a section called Friday Feedback that you can find on my channel. Okay, so I love that you are showing your packaging in your banner. I think that's a super smart idea, and you even pull in some of your branding by showing the cute little, it looks like insert here that you put on your packages. I love that. The only thing was, it took me a few seconds to realize what I was looking at. So I think you could tweak this just a little bit to really make it work for your banner. And I have a tutorial on where I show you how to make a free banner on Canva. It's super simple, and I highly recommend it. So I will link to that so you can check that out as well. But I think you can use the same idea, but just kind of rearrange it a bit so that, you can tell what you're looking at, and you can even maybe bring in some of your products. It easily allows you to add, say, 3 or 4 or 2 photos, whatever you want at the top. There's kind of a template to do that easily, specifically for Etsy banners. It's the coolest thing ever. And I already mentioned how much I love her tagline. However, this space right here, your shop title, is not the best place to put your tagline. I would recommend moving it to some other places in your shop, like even in your banner. And you could show that even using your insert here. If you moved the ribbon around a bit, you could focus in on that and show that via that way. You could even put it in your announcement and your about section, in your item descriptions, anywhere else but here, and I'm going to tell you why. This is a place that you want to optimize for your outside SEO, search engine optimization. While Etsy doesn't look at this right now, as far as we know, outside search engines like Google do. So what you want to put here instead are your keywords for your shop. So what are the primary things that you sell for your shops? Is it vintage clothing? Is it vintage clothing of a certain era? Words that can describe generally what you sell. That's what you want to put here. All right, and then with your sections here, if I were you, I would add vintage in front of most of these. Vintage earrings, vintage necklaces. And the reason for that is just similar to what I just explained about your shop title. Google and the outside search engines are looking at all these different places in your shop. So if you can more clearly tell them what it is you offer, they're more likely to send someone your way. So earrings is a very broad category, right? But if you narrow it down to vintage earrings, it's going to not only capture specifically what you sell, but it's going to narrow it down for a search engine purpose. And also, chances are if someone is in your shop, they like vintage. So reinforcing in your sections that everything that you have is vintage, if that's the case, it helps to show those people who are browsing in your shop that this is a place they want to stick around and explore in. Featured items, love them or hate them. It's completely up to you whether to use them or not. But if you are using them, which Jeannette is in her shop, I do recommend always keeping a full queue so you don't end up with a blank spot here and your shop always looks complete. You can do that easily by just kind of loading up your queue of featured items so that if something in here sells, another one will automatically pop in behind it. Down here where Jeannette lists her shop members, I thought this was super cute that she included herself again as a photographer and shipper. I think that, we all wear multiple hats, right? And I think that was a cute way of kind of pointing that out or playing on that particular point. I would love to see your photo here that just kind of would complete the look. It could be something maybe even cute or humorous. I think that would be really cute. And the dog, adorable. And down here in your announcement, I love that you invite people to follow you on Instagram. And I would recommend adding that link and any other applicable links as an actual link like Etsy allows you to do. I'll show you what that looks like here. So this is my shop, and right above shop members, if you add the links through Etsy, it'll give these little around the web icons and links so people can easily find you in different places around the web as well. And I have to tell you, I think it's kind of annoying that Etsy does this last updated thing, but because they do, try to make sure that that date stays current. You don't want anything to look stale in your shop. So even if you need to go in there and make a tiny little tweak so that date gets more current. May 30th, that's not an old date. You're fine there. But like some people, maybe haven't touched it in a while. Maybe it's from last year. That's when you for sure want to go in there and do a little tweak of any kind so that that date gets updated. And same thing with your policies. Like I said, I don't love that Etsy does this, but they do have a last updated date. So whenever you have something that's starting to look a little stale or old, just go in there and make a little tweak, even if you have to tweak it and then tweak it back to something else, what it was before, just so that updates and it doesn't look dated. The more fresh you can make your shop look, the better. Think about like if you walk into one of your favorite stores and it looks like it did the last time you were there. I'm not saying it has to look different every time someone comes to your shop, but you like to see new things. You like to see fresh things for the season or for the styles, whatever it is. So anytime you can kind of freshen up your shop and make it look fresh, that's always a positive thing. All right, so just looking at your photos is a super hard thing to get. It's really boils down to product photography, and it's an acquired skill that could have nothing to do with your prior photography skills. For example, I majored in photography for a while. It wasn't very long, but it was for a little while in college. I loved it. I took a lot of classes on it. I studied it. But when I went to go take my first Etsy photo, it sucked. And it took me a long time to hone that skill. So just keep working on it, keep practicing. Your photos are not bad at all, but definitely, there's something that you can work on that will help get you a little bit more traffic to your shop, because that first photo its job is to catch the attention of browsers in a search. So if you have a photo that's really, really good and popping, then you're much more likely to get someone to click on your item and come to your shop and then buy. So sometimes if you are wondering, okay, what can I do to improve sales? One of the very first things that you should look at are your photos, and not necessarily the photos after the first one. Those are important too, and they have another purpose. But that first photo, if you can work on these first photos, that can make a drastic improvement for your shop. I want to re-emphasize that these are not bad photos. There's just some opportunity to make them pop a little more and stand out. And sometimes, for your clothes, for example, you might want to show the entire item. You do that really well in here. I would probably zoom out just a little bit so that you could see the bottom of the skirt and know right away how long that is, because I can't tell by looking at it if it's a short dress, it ends right there, or does it go all the way to the ankles? And those are important things to see as you're browsing through a search, because it tells us a browser, if that's what they want to look at further. You have to remember that people in our digital age are inherently lazy, and not like lazy as in they just want to lay around the house, but they don't want to do a lot of work with their eyes and their brains when they're doing things like searching for something that they want. They just want to be like, oh, that looks nice, I'll click on it. And a lot of it's subconscious too, you know. They might see another one of these looking almost exactly the same, but it shows the bottom of the dress going to the ankles, and that's what they're looking at. So they just click on that one with that shows the whole dress because they're too lazy to click on that. And again, not lazy as in I just want to lay on the bed kind of lazy, but they just aren't going to take that extra step sometimes. And so you have to account for that. Okay, so I chose this white and pastels beaded Made in France handbag to review. How amazing is that handbag? So Etsy recommends currently that we use 2 to 3 long tail keyword phrases in our item titles. So I think this is a really good one out of the 2 to 3. I might, if I were you, probably add at least one more. Examples might be you're pulling in the era, so maybe a 1950s vintage floral purse. And then if you want to add another one, you could include like who this could make a good gift for. Maybe one-of-a-kind gift for bride. These are just examples. And actually, after looking through your photos and seeing this super cute design here, I would probably play that a little more into your title. So maybe something like, let's see, what do you say here? A French scene clasp closure or something like that in your title might be a good long tail keyword phrase. And the photos, I think you do a really good job of detailing the different elements of this purse and the flaws. So I think that's really great. And I also love your description. You start with mentioning your keywords in a natural way written for humans, which is really good. This white beaded Made in France handbag has peach, pale pink, and pale green beaded flowers delicately scattered throughout. And then you go right into how it would make a great addition, a lovely addition in somebody's life. And you give specific examples like to any bridal ensemble, or it would also enhance the summer wedding guest outfit or any event where a unique touch is welcome. Those types of suggestions for how somebody can use this in their life helps to sell your item. So that's really good. That's a really good selling technique. And then you go on to describe the condition, which is obviously very good, and include the dimensions, which is right on point. The only thing I would recommend here is I like how you break this up into paragraphs that are easy to get through. You could consider going one step further by putting titles here. For example, approximate measurements at the top right here, so that if somebody is trying to find a certain piece of information, they'll know exactly where to go to find that. So that's just one thing to consider. And your tags look really good for this item. You don't necessarily have to repeat things like bag several times or vintage several times, because as long as you have it mentioned once, that is enough for the Etsy search engines to suggest this to somebody who's looking for something with those keywords included. However, it doesn't hurt you. So if you have the extra room, which you probably do in this case, a lot of times with vintage items, we have some extra space. So it definitely doesn't hurt you, and it can even help you in some cases. So it's not a bad thing. But if you have other things that you want to add in there, you know, you could, for example, combine beaded bride bag, for example, and that will take care, probably, you know, maybe fit in one tag, maybe not. But that's just a suggestion if you wanted to fit more things in. And then try to avoid the one-word tags. Again, it doesn't hurt you, but if you do avoid the one-word tags, then it gives you additional space to include more keywords. And then finally, just make sure that you're using all 13 tags. I can't tell for sure here, but I'm pretty sure that you're missing a couple tags. Some suggestions besides who, you know, this makes a good gift for is I would probably use some of these colors, peach, pale pink and pale green. Those would be great things to include in your keywords. And I can't tell if you're using attributes, but make sure you're taking advantage of that as well. Etsy recently put out some articles and information on how our attributes are kind of like bonus keywords. So make sure you're taking advantage of those when they apply and in the correct way. All right, so Jeanette, I really hope this helped you. You have a really lovely shop, and I just really enjoyed browsing through it and looking, and I wish you the best of luck. And I hope that it gave everybody watching some tips as well. I know that if I went to go review my own shop right now, I would find plenty of things that I can fix. So we're always learning and tweaking and growing. So never feel bad about the things that you are doing in your shop. Feel proud of what you have done. And if I had to give you your next best step personalized just for you, I would say work on those front photos. I think that's going to make the biggest impact on how many views you get and resulting sales. Okay, so again, if you want to find out how to get your own free review, check out the notes below. It has all the information you need. If you like this video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and click the little bell as well so you get notified whenever a new video comes out. And thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.